Okay, so normally I only do NASCAR related videos on this channel and NASCAR related content and stuff. But today is gonna be different. Today I want to talk about the SRX and why, in my opinion, you should be paying attention and you should be watching the SRX. So first of all, what is the SRX? You might ask yourself. Well, the SRX stands for Superstar Racing Experience, and it is basically an old school grassroots racing series with past superstars from all over other racing series, like you got NASCAR, IndyCar, Trans Am, and a few local legends mixed into as well. Uh, SRX was conceived as a spiritual successor of what the IROC, or the International Race of Champions, was. And people loved IROC back in the day. The concept of taking champions from different racing series and putting them all together in a racing series only for champions, only reserved for champions. Now, of course, the SRX is not exclusively a champions only series. It also has a series. There's also like a few other retired drivers, a few other local legends and stuff. But the thing is, it is supposed to be a blast from the past. The nostalgia factor. You compare it to what the Big Three league is to the NBA. It gives us like another chance to watch our favorite guys from the past. You got like the usual Tony Stewart, the Elio Castroneves, the Bill Elliott, the Paul Tracy, Michael Waltrip, the usual guys. Also, you got the Tony Kanaan as well. It's not supposed to be a competitor to all other racing series. Just an alternative, a complement, an extra dose of Saturday night bullring racing in summer, for the summer months. And this is another thing that the SRX really differs itself from like the other racing series. You see, other racing series are like politically correct and stuff, but the SRX, the thing I love about this is that this is a series that doesn't really give a shit about being like politically correct when it comes to like personalities. Like the guys running the show have made that pretty clear. Like Tony Stewart, Ray Abraham, when they conceived the idea of making the SRX, they wanted it to be as freeloading as possible. Like let these drivers have their way with their personalities and not let like the sanctioning body dictate how they should act. No, all of these guys are retired. Like nobody cares about this. This is just for fun, and because of that, everyone can just like run wild with their personalities and stuff. They're not going to bend over backwards for corporate sponsors like NASCAR does. And because of that, we've also had like several personalities shine all throughout the season. We got the Tony Stewart, of course, with his usual Tony Stewart type of personality. If you watch NASCAR back in the day, you know the personality and the spice that Tony Stewart adds to his interviews. You also got like Greg Biffle using the number 69. You also got Michael Waltrip and Paul Tracy, his usual shenanigans. Willie T. Rips, also Haley Deegan. She was in there last season and running part time, and she had like a little beef there with Paul Tracy. A bit of a show, a bit for show. Some of that was also like legit beef, but overall, the drivers. You also never know who's gonna be showing up on an SRX race next. Like you got like the usual roster of like 8 to 9, maybe 10 full-time drivers at most in an SRX, but usually there's also like a lot of part-time drivers. Like you saw like Doug Kobe last year. You saw guys like Doug Kobe, Greg Biffle himself. Now this year you got guys like Ryan Newman running full-time in SRX. You also got let's see who else. He also got maybe Matt Kenseth there, and this also opens the door for other like retired stars like maybe Jeff Gordon, Lewis Hamilton. There's a guy like Dale Jr., Kevin Harvick, the Bush brothers, Kyle Larson, maybe guys from Formula One too, like Daniel Ricciardo, maybe Mark Martin, Kimi Raikkonen, and maybe some other local short track legend we don't know about. And also, SRX. The beautiful part about this is like the SRX could play into the drivers' careers. Like we've seen like Ernie Francis Jr. talking about how him getting this opportunity and getting to race in the SRX has given him like more exposure. And hell, you look at Doug Coby. Last season, he got a Truck Series deal with GMS Racing. Sure, it was a part-time deal, and as of right now, nothing else has come out of that. But the fact that him winning at Stafford in SRX, got him that deal with GMS Racing on a part-time schedule in the Truck Series. It really shows that SRX, like racing in the SRX, could play a hand into giving drivers more exposure, because that's another thing. Their races are broadcast live on the big CBS network, which is a big network in the USA. Also, back to the NBA Big Three comparison, Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson, his performance in the Big Three, it got him an NBA contract, and Joe Johnson is a veteran, but that didn't stop him from a big team like the Boston Celtics signing him. So maybe a big NASCAR or IndyCar team could sign, let's see, somebody like a Ryan Newman or a Matt Kenseth in NASCAR, or maybe Tony Kanaan in IndyCar. They might sign him to. They might sign any of those guys to a part-time schedule for what they do in the SRX. It may not be much, but hey, maybe that could also like increase some of the credibility the SRX has. That maybe what you do in the SRX could lead into you getting a career in another racing series, or maybe extending your career a few more seasons. That could also be pretty cool, I guess. Another thing that I love about the SRX too is the broadcast. Alan Bestwick, in my opinion, one of the greatest play-by-play announcers in not just in NASCAR but in motorsports as a whole. I am so glad they brought him in for this series, because after all, when it comes to like broadcasting, Alan Bestwick is a superstar. And for a superstar series like the SRX, having a great play-by-play announcer like him, it's just a match made in heaven. He sounded more fun and more relaxed and more natural than he usually. If you compare his broadcast to the ones that he had back in NBC and ESPN, he looks more fun. He sounds more fun, more relaxed, more natural. But he's also, at the same time, he still keeps his professionalism. Other like color commentators like James Hinchcliffe, in particular, he also surprised me with his generally great insight. The guy has great potential as an announcer. That's all I'm gonna say. But James Hinchcliffe as well. His chemistry with Alan Bestwick has been really great. And this is coming from someone that didn't expect much out of him. Also, the presentation is great. It's fun, insightful. It gives us a lot of like driver backgrounds, but it's also to the point. It doesn't drag on with like pointless narratives like NASCAR does, especially NASCAR on Fox, what they do. There's also no commercials either, and that's another great part. And that's another great thing I love about the SRX, is that they try to keep it. Every time they go to commercials, they always go on side-by-side commercials. They always try to not to show as much of the action as possible, even if it's under commercial, even if it's under cautions. They always try to show something. Something is always happening on the track, and that's why you always gotta pay attention. These races are like short; they only last like 2.5 hours at most. So, and there is just a lot of action packed into that single like 2.5 hour time slot. So. It keeps you glued to the TV as well. Also, I really love how it's just like a 10 to 15 minute pre-race show, a few pace laps, and we're green. Like, yeah, straight to the point. Just not wasting time with any BS narratives like NASCAR or maybe a little bit of IndyCar does. Now, as for the schedule, this is what I love about the SRX. You know, the theme of just keeping it short and sweet. It's only 6 summer races. And I think it should stay like that. 6 races in the summer, it's perfect. Like, it's not a season long. It's not like a NASCAR season long, like a 36 race schedule. Just like 6 races in the summer. It will leave you wanting for more. It will keep you hyped up for next season. It's a short championship season, sure, but that's okay because the championship isn't the top priority anyways. Because, like I said, in the end, no one's gonna care who wins the title. Like, sure, Tony Stewart won the title last year, but nobody care in the end because these guys, they come from all racing series anyways, and most of these guys are veterans. They have accomplished what they had to do. They've accomplished they have nothing left to prove. This is all about like crowd pleasing, like every time, and you can see that with the drivers. They may be like fierce on the track, and they might say some stuff that aren't exactly PG rated, but once they take their helmets and their fire suits off, they're just normal guys interacting with the fans, taking pictures, signing autographs, having a lighthearted conversation with them. Is that perfect? No. Is the SRX series perfect? Of course not. No racing series is. If that's not your cup of tea, if the SRX is not your cup of tea, then to each their own. But even if it's not your cup of tea, I strongly recommend that you give it a chance. Whether you're watching live from the track or just watching from the TV, the fan experience is just amazing. This racing series is first and foremost for the fans. And they also show, the SRX, they have also shown in the past, with last season, that they actually listen to the fans. And they always put the fan first, because this may be a race with with superstars and this superstar feel, but at the end of the day, this is all about crowd pleasing. What the drivers do, what the executives do, that action, that experience, that amazing experience on the track, it's all for the fans. As it should be as well. This whole series is all about crowd pleasing and giving the fans what they want, and because of that, I cannot wait to see what this second season has in store. Like, the second season is going on right now, and if you haven't watched it yet, let me tell you, you're missing on something big, because this season is already off to a great start. And if you haven't watched any of these races, don't worry, there's still like plenty of action left, and you still have time to catch up and watch and see what this SRX series has to offer. After all, again, great series, 10 out of 10. Of course, there's some stuff that they could improve upon, but that's mostly nitpicking on my part. Overall, SRX must watch. See ya.